Programming brought to you by AWI Networks, Smarter Internet.
Thanks for joining St. George News at 8. I'm Marissa Sarback in for Scott Beadle. A Canadian man and his estranged wife received jail sentences today for bringing their, at the time, 13-year-old daughter into the U.S. to be married off to Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Day Saints prophet Warren Jeffs. Brandon James Blackmore was sentenced to a year in Canadian prison, and Emily Ruth Gale Blackmore was sentenced to 7 months. In 2004, Jeffs ordered the Blackmores to bring their daughter to the U.S. because she, quote-unquote, belonged to him. It was the second time the Blackmores had given a daughter to Jeffs for polygamous marriage. An elderly woman died at the hospital late Saturday night after being hit with a vehicle while crossing Telegraph Street. She was rushed to Dixie Regional Medical Center in St. George, where she later died from her injuries. Officers investigating the crash determined she was not in a crosswalk at the time she was hit. Officers say the 19-year-old driver showed no signs of impairment and was not speeding. They will continue to investigate. Large consecutive storms drenched St. George and surrounding communities, causing floods, downed trees, and tipped power poles Saturday evening. The storms began moving through town at around 7, at which point the St. George Fire Department was inundated with phone calls reporting damage. High winds and lightning also made the storm even more dramatic. Trees and power poles were down around town, and some areas had floodwaters. Officials say the overall impact of the storm was minor and could have been worse, and the storm cells hit all at once. Police responded to a report of an individual who may have been impersonating a police officer making a traffic stop in St. George.
We did have a report on the 12th at about 9:30 p.m. about a possible impersonation. We do have marked vehicles. This particular one, at this time, we've not determined that it's one of our vehicles. We do have an active investigation going on in regards to this incident. If someone is pulled over by someone that they are concerned might not be an officer, our advice is you can always call into dispatch and ask at 435-627-4300. And if you're scared, of course, then you call 911. Police officers should always have a badge and an identification on them, especially if they're making a traffic stop. So ask for those, especially when an officer is not dressed in a normal patrol uniform. And if you're concerned, you can always ask for an on-duty officer to respond to the location, too, that is in patrol uniform, just to make you feel more safe. But again, in regards to this incident, we are actively investigating who this person can be. And absolutely, if something like this happens, call dispatch, file a report so we can follow up and determine the validity of the incident.
Police ask if you have any information to contact them immediately. For the better part of a week, the Dixie Little League felt like the team of destiny, but on Saturday night, the magic ran out. Southern California pounded out 17 hits and held the scrappy Southern Utah team at bay just long enough to earn an 11-7 win and a trip to the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Southern California will head straight to Pennsylvania for the LLWS, which begins Thursday. SoCal's first game is Friday against USA Northwestern winner Oregon. Bail is denied in Charlottesville after the suspected driver in that deadly attack in Virginia is arraigned on second-degree murder and related offenses. Elizabeth Herr is in Charlottesville with new details about the suspect's past.
20-year-old James Alex Fields Jr., appearing before a judge via video, is ordered to remain in jail and his bond denied. Charged with the murder of Heather Heyer and a hit and run that injured more than a dozen others in Charlottesville, could now face additional federal charges.
Racism is evil.
President Donald Trump responding to critics who blasted him for not initially denouncing the white nationalist groups directly and forcefully, today announced a civil rights investigation is underway. ABC News learning the FBI is now reviewing the suspect's background to determine if the attack was a hate crime or domestic terrorism. His mother is in disbelief after learning of his involvement over the weekend.
I didn't know it was white supremacists. I thought it had something to do with Trump.
But others who knew Fields in the past say they are not surprised.
He was vocal about his ideas. He proclaimed himself as a Nazi and as a white supremacist. It wasn't a secret.
Meanwhile, in Charlottesville,
we're also starting to get back on our feet and look toward the future.
A promise from the mayor to move forward more united, while the mother of the 32-year-old paralegal killed in the crash vows to make sure her daughter did not die in vain.
I lost my child, and I'm heartbroken over that, and I would grieve in private, but she stood for something, and by golly, I'm going to advocate that let's make that a strong movement, as my child was a strong child.
The suspect appears in court next on August 25th. Chief Meteorologist Chris Summers has your southern Utah forecast after this.
The weather tonight is brought to you by AWI Networks, smarter internet.
And welcome back, everyone. A good Monday evening to you. Temperatures out there today in the upper 90s across parts of southern Utah. 97 degrees our high temperature here in St. George. A couple degrees below that normal, which has now dropped back into the double digits. At 99 degrees is our normal high for this date. Record high 109 back in 2002. And overnight lows are in the upper 60s here as you woke up early this morning. Now taking a look at our temperatures across the area. Again, basically upper 90s to near 100 across much of southern Utah. 86 though the high temperature up in Cedar City late this afternoon. Also 86 degrees the high in Enterprise. 102 in Vegas. 97 degrees in Mesquite and 97 degrees in Hurricane as well. But you probably noticed those gusty winds out there. Yeah, red flag warning was in effect until about 5 minutes ago. About 8 o'clock at night is when it actually went out of effect because the winds have started to die back down. And overnight tonight, we'll see those winds actually continue to die down. But this afternoon, yeah, they were gusting pretty high out there, up to 30 to 35 miles per hour across much of southern Utah. Saw a wind gust at 35 in Cedar City, 29 wind gust in St. George, and 31 miles per hour in Las Vegas late this afternoon. Now for tonight, we'll see temperatures drop back into the mid-50s. Yeah, in Cedar City, a little cool out there as you wake up early tomorrow morning. Everyone else, though, upper 60s, low 70s. Overnight lows from Hurricane to Mesquite to St. George, mainly cloudy skies to mainly clear skies as you wake up early on your Tuesday. And as you go through your Tuesday with Cedar City, we'll see some sunshine, partly to mostly sunny skies. Not quite as gusty as we saw today, but again, could see wind gusts as high as 15 miles per hour in Cedar City. High temperature 82. And around St. George then, well, a high temperature getting 94 degrees. Those temperatures throughout the day then, with those wind gusts basically still about southwest at about 10 to 15 miles per hour throughout the afternoon on our Tuesday. So what else can we expect to see? Yeah, not quite as warm as we've been seeing. We're not having no triple digits in the forecast anytime soon. Looks like we're going to stay in the mid to upper 90s here the next couple of days. Staying dry and warm though as we get into the middle part of the work week and keeping that sunshine around with plenty of sunshine actually in the forecast into the end of the work week and just a little bit warmer getting close to the upper 90s as we head to about Thursday or Friday. Here's what it looks like on the surface map. Most of that rain has pushed well off to our east. Again, just seeing some breezy conditions come back into southern Utah, but still hot down to our south and west. And that heat will build a little bit over our area here as we get into Thursday and Friday, but until then, really not too bad with temperatures in low 80s around Cedar City, partly to mostly sunny skies for your Tuesday. And as we get into your Tuesday afternoon around St. George and southern Utah, yeah, temperatures around 94 degrees or so for the high in St. George, 97 Mesquite, partly sunny skies expected. And your 7-day forecast for Cedar City, mid 80s. To upper 80s as we head into the weekend. Yeah, dry weather continuing. That's always some good news. After seeing all that rainfall last several weeks, you're actually going to see some drying weather come back into the area. Close to 90 by the weekend, but still lots of sunshine expected. And in St. George and southern Utah, we'll get back in the mid-90s, maybe eventually to the upper 90s. So a little bit warmer as we get to the end of the work week, but into the weekend. But really not seeing any triple digits, which is good. We had a lot of those last several months as well. So finally seeing those temperatures kind of bottom back out into the upper 90s. Over the next couple of days and not seeing a lot of rain chances. That's also some good news for us as well.
No rain and no temperatures over 100. That sounds good to me.
That's perfect weather for Utah.
Right? Could you ask for anything better?
No, that's right.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, up next, nuns having fun. We catch up with these self-proclaimed holy rollers, turning heads wherever they go. Well, locals and tourists alike are stopping to stare at a pair of rollerblading nuns in Corpus Christi, Texas. I love this. Meet the Salt Sisters, nicknamed the Holy Rollers, who are getting a lot of attention outside the convent. Sister Mary Elizabeth Albers and Sister Carita Spark say they began rollerblading once a week for exercise and for fun. Their weekly ritual soon started turning heads among locals because the sisters would rollerblade in a full habit and religious attire even in that heat. Now, the pair say they are now stopped constantly for pictures and high fives.
I bet you would probably kind of double take as they come strolling by you on their rollerblades and like, is that really a nun?
Absolutely, I'd look too. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great night.